fashionable for 2025.
That's right.
All right, it's 3 o'clock. So this is what's the date? The June 6th Planning Commission hearing. Don't might as well get started. And Gabrielle, you're up for the first one. Unless you have any announcements to make first.
No, I think we were going to run through both the agendas for the 9th and the 16th. Now was our intent. We were going to schedule a separate PC pre-PC meeting. So I think I think we're good to get started.
All right. So the first one is PC 21-910 FSI Frederick Shoppers World.
This is the Frederick Shoppers World. This was a site plan that was approved back in, what year were we talking about? This was 20, it was 2021. There we go. So this was a pad site out on the Golden Mile. The applicant has received already one 6-month extension of the final site plan, but is that which we can approve administratively, but is now asking for a full year. They haven't been able to secure a tenant for the pad site, so haven't started construction of it yet. So 1-year extension because of the size of the site and because it's non-residential. The APFO certificates are all still their approvals are all still valid, so there's no extension as we've had to do in the past with the APFO.
All right, any questions? I can see both of you, so you can just shake your head or nod. Nobody has any questions. I don't have any questions either. That was easy to do. All right, the next one is PC 24-662 MU, the Frederick Health Master Plan. Sherry?
Hello.
Hey.
So just an update from the first hearing. You guys had asked for clarification between senior living, age-restricted housing, independent living, and such. And so online I looked, and senior living is kind of a catch-all phrase for the different types. So they're like age-restricted housing, is like 55 plus or 65 plus. And then you have places where they kind of step up in terms of care. You start off, in maybe your own townhouse or apartment or something. And then as you age and need more care, you would go into, assisted living, and then ultimately end up perhaps in the nursing home part of it. So that's that was basically the different definitions for those, but senior living was kind of a catch-all.
But the LMC doesn't really distinguish between those?
No.
Okay. And at what point is it, we build something, is it considered part of their housing units? And at what point does it stop being considered part of the housing units and just become more of a commercial property?
So commercial properties are generally just nursing, like supportive living environments. We consider retirement facilities like Bloomfields is considered residential.
Okay.
55 and over, those are generally residential. The important part about residential is the big trigger we talk about is schools, that impact schools, but any age restricted residential is exempt from APFO testing. And there are they have to with the Bloomfields, we had their covenants that restricted the age restrictions. So generally
need the applicant to clarify exactly what they're talking about for those conditional uses. Okay. And I know you've got lots more to say, but do either of you have any questions on that? Okay. Sorry, Sherry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. And then I went in, to more elaborate detail for each of those conditional uses. I don't know if you want me to go down through them. And let's see.
I don't think we need to do that now.
Okay. Yeah, I can summarize that at the hearing on Monday. So, and that's all I had for that.
Okay. the traffic study is new. Is there anything that we need to know out of the traffic study?
I think the
Well,
thing we want to, one of the actions that you're going to have to take is, as the commission's taken in the past, to make findings of adequacy for certain intersections that otherwise could not be brought to full adequacy based on the finding that they've committed as much mitigation to those intersections as possible. So that's one of the actions you have to take that, and that
Now,
impacts multiple
what's the
intersections.
section in the LMC for that?
So that's in the section of, that's in the city code and the APFL.
Okay.
That's under, I can send you the link. We actually have some public comment we'll have to send to you after this meeting that we received just this afternoon. We can, let me forward you the link. It's section 4-14, I believe,
Yes,
under roads.
forward the link because I think we'll all need to look at the legal language of that again.
Sure.
mhm.
All right. Any other questions from?
I did just want to add, yeah, there were 8 conditions of approval. So
Okay.
yeah, most of them are notes that need updated. That's all.
All right. Then our next case is 1435 West Patrick Street, the PC 24760, the final site plan, and PC 24-761, the forest conservation plan.
Yes. Thank you very much. So this is the shopping center. It's located out at the end of the Golden Mile at the corner of West Patrick and Old Camp. You had asked them for a couple of things at the workshop, one of them being a color elevation or a color demonstration of what they were planning for their elevation. And additionally, a graphic description of how the floodplain was going to change before development and after development. And they've provided both of those, so they're in your packet. They're also asking for 2 modifications. It's got a lot of floodplain on that site, so staff is supporting both of the modifications. And other than that, those were the two things that were kind of concerning to you at the workshop, and so they addressed both of those. So we're supporting the site plan as well as both of the modification requests.
Okay, and nothing else new has come up?
No, nothing else new. And then for the forest plan, they did submit a modification to remove, there's 2 specimen trees on site. There's a weeping cherry and a sycamore. We worked with the urban forestry manager, and he's confirmed that they're both in really poor conditions. So they went through all of the steps, why it wasn't their fault, why they should be removed. We support it. The forester supports it. So that's all in there as well. And they're planning on paying a fee in lieu of planting.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions? Nope. I see heads shaking no. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so we're on to Brickworks Lot 5, and that's PC 24-834 PSU FSI for the preliminary plat and final site plan, and PC 24-835 for the preliminary forest conservation plan.
Thank you. Pam is out today. She'll be back on Monday, though, so I'm going to do my best to cover for her and quickly summarize the decisions you'll make and updates since you last saw it. This was previously scheduled for hearing and then was continued. So we're picking back up with that. It's the 231 townhouses on Lot 5. They do have 3 modifications, 2 closely related based on the layout of the lots, and that's to relieve them of the requirement to have actually portions of the lot touching the public street. The Planning Commission approved a modification at the master plan stage, but only as it pertained to Lot 1, which is at the corner of South and East. So the applicant now is showing you how they want to request that modification again in the context of how the lots will be laid out, and that is to front on public open spaces. There were 3 areas, I believe, and that's shown in Exhibit B, one of your attachments, where the lots are positioned on open space or parkland areas. So that requires the modification to both section 417, which requires a certain amount of length where the property line's touching the road, and then section 606, which just broadly requires lots to have frontage on a public street. So it's same implementation of two different requirements, basically. Then you also have a modification relative to street trees, and that is for them to be able to cluster street tree, their total number on certain roads where they can't provide them on other roads. If there were any other significant updates, I think that was it on the preliminary plat and the final site plan. The forest conservation plan, yeah. On the forest conservation plan, as you know, we've been working off of that original preliminary forest conservation plan that was approved, that kind of spec'd out how lots would meet the minimum requirement based on their individual acreage. And then as each piece comes in, we're looking at that again. The applicant on this lot is meeting the minimum that they intended to meet on site, and then paying a fee in lieu for the other half of that. I think they're exceeding it just slightly. It's 2.39 acres, and they're meeting that requirement through street tree credits, through landscape credit areas. Landscape credit areas are those that don't necessarily meet the number of trees per acre and the requirements to create a true forest. They're intended to be more manicured areas, not kind of wild. And then they are proposing an area of afforestation, which would be actual true forest, between the lots and Monocacy Boulevard. We did note that with the sensitive nature of that Monocacy Boulevard frontage, they have that's the dam for that big stormwater pond on 70 that will need clearance from the State Highway Administration, that forest conservation area would not compete with any interest they have in that. So that's one of the conditions of approval. And otherwise, just a couple of technical cleanups.
Right. Questions? Nope. Everybody's shaking their head no, and I don't have any questions either.
And this was one of the cases we received 2 pieces of public comment that we'll forward you this afternoon, and then anything we receive over the weekend and into next week, we'll get you on Monday.
All right. And then, so our next cases are PC 24-983 ANX and PC 24-984 ZMA. So this is for the Gateway project, the annexation amendment, and the zoning map amendment.
Correct. So we'll start with the zoning map, or I'm sorry, the annexation. The applicant is asking to amend the terms of their annexation relative to parkland. When we discussed this at the workshop, their concept was to request that the requirement for 16 acres of publicly accessible parkland be reduced down to 6 acres, still providing for the path system along the Monocacy River, as well as the boat launch and supporting parking area. The applicant has continued to evaluate their opportunities for creating a public amenity space in conjunction with their proposed use, being the special event center, cricket stadium, and now has proposed different language, not specifically honing in on any specific acreage requirement, more trying to describe the intent, and then leaving it to a discussion of the Parks and Rec Commission, and ultimately deciding on what that public amenity space looks like. So a slightly different proposal than you reviewed previously. I would note that the language of the annexation agreement currently does not, it requires dedication or public access to approximately 16 acres to coincide with the floodplain area on the project, but their intent with the redevelopment is to fill much of that floodplain. So that's what's kind of prompting the revisiting of this condition. The last thing I would note, and this is something we'll come back to the second meeting with hopefully just some additional information. There was a requirement in the annexation resolution that the applicant give us $500,000 for road improvements, kind of staged to be provided as the project developed. Well, the initial project never developed, which is why we're here so many years later, and we want to advocate that the council in their ultimate negotiations has an opportunity to look at that dollar figure and require it. And and maybe a new dollar figure in light of the fact that it was so many years ago when that initial figure was established. So we don't have a recommendation in our staff report at this time. I would note that the application is going to the Parks and Rec Commission for discussion. They are not, in this instance, they're not a recommending body necessarily to the Planning Commission like they are when we're talking about parkland dedication associated with a residential subdivision. But we anticipate that the City Council will want information from the Parks and Rec Commission. They'll want to know their feedback. They'll want to know your feedback. So when we come back to the second meeting in July, we'll have the Parks and Rec input as well to share with you.
Okay. So this is the first of 2 meetings.
Yes, and just point of interest, the annexation does not require 2 hearings. It's the rezoning that does, but they're traveling together because it's hard to have the conversation about one without the other.
Right, right. Any questions? Okay, so no questions from the other commissioners. So again, can you just restate the reason why the original annexation agreement said 16 acres?
Sure. So at the time it was annexed, the potential developer at the time anticipated it being a site for a super Walmart. So they requested the general commercial zoning. General commercial zoning at that time would not have had any parkland dedication requirement because residents generate the need for parkland dedication. So there was an opportunity to negotiate getting that access to the river, getting the area for a park for shared use path, knowing at the time that we wouldn't have any residential development to otherwise generate that need. Now with the new development proposal concept, they want to fill more of that floodplain than would have been necessary to do the super Walmart center. And so they want to take advantage of having more of that land available and accessible for their use. And that's prompting the request to reimagine it.
The specific 16 acres was just because that was the amount of the floodplain?
It was in the annexation, it was described to coincide with the floodplain area.
Okay. Right, and you guys still have any other questions? Okay. All right, let's go on to the zoning map amendment.
So the zoning map amendment, that is the one that is requiring the 2 hearings. So we don't have any recommendations at this time. Keep in mind that the Planning Commission in the past and the City Council has the opportunity to recommend conditions of rezoning. Conditions should be related to things that are necessary to protect, improve, make sure that they are compatible, the improvements that are proposed or the surrounding improvements. So they're not intended to be use restrictions. They're more about development characteristic kind of restrictions. So I anticipate at the second hearing, we will provide you with some recommendations on our behalf to consider for conditions related to the ultimate development of the property. And then the mayor and board, the City Council would ultimately decide whether they wanted to attach those conditions of rezoning. For this round, we have provided the zoning determination. There was some discussion at the workshop about the use. So we provided the zoning determination that describes the specific land use in the LMC. And then the other update we provided was relative to something. Maybe that was all of the new information we provided. There's something on my mind and I apologize, it has escaped me. So we'll leave it at that. The zoning determinations included for your review.
Any questions? No. So no questions from the commission. I actually, as you were talking, it made me think about another question related to the annexation amendment.
Mm-hmm.
So the annexation applied to both. I mean, they're basically cutting the property into 2 pieces for the zoning map amendment. So part of it, they're asking for the IST, but part of it they might want to put like the hotel and some residential on. So on Monday, could you, and the annexation applies to both parts, right?
Right.
So on Monday, could you make sure to provide us, if they are eventually going to ask for residential, how much parkland would be required for that residential piece?
Sure. So they had contemplated, and well, we can provide you some hypothetical numbers. So the concept they had recommend or referenced in their justification statement, I believe, was potentially asking for like an MU2 mixed use floating zone to be placed on the remainder of the property, not zoned IST. So the best we can probably do is provide that acreage and then multiply the max density by the acreage.
Right.
Probably not a totally fair analysis of how many it could be, but that would be the maximum.
Right. Well, that, just so we have some idea of if residences go in there, what would be required. So that would be helpful. All right. Anything else on the Monday night agenda before we go on? No? Okay. On to the 16th agenda. And the first one on, the first case on that one is PC 21-101005, and that's architectural review for Grove Hill.
Yes. Sorry, I was trying to pull up my agenda and it was giving me all sorts of crazy stuff. So those are the architectural elevations. There's been no changes since the workshop. I think when we had the workshop, we were just asking them to clean up some references they had to the elements, but they are the same.
Okay. Any questions? No questions. So then the next item on the agenda is the annual report.
There we go. Yes, so this is our annual report that we are required under state law to submit to the Maryland Department of Planning every year, capturing basically the development activity. I think last year was the first year we kind of reformatted it to reflect the state's template. They have tried to standardize things so that they can easily extract out from all of the different jurisdictions and counties data and make it something that they can compare. So that format is the second year in a row we're using that. And we will ask for the Planning Commission to approve the annual report. We will send it to the state and then we provide a copy to the City Council as well.
Okay. So this, we'll have a motion to approve the report.
Correct.
Great. Any questions? No questions. All right. Next item is PC 24-981 PSU FSI, the preliminary plat and final site plan for Tuscarora Creek. Phase 6, right? And that's Sherry?
Yes, that's me. Let's see, I'm trying to pull it up. So this is just for 34 townhouse lots. It's the last part or last section of Tuscarora Creek in this area. So not much to add. They're getting or asking for a modification for spacing for street trees because due to utilities, they can't put them at the appropriate spacing, which is, I think, 50 feet between each one. So they're asking for money for that. And then the certs for water line, sewer line, and roads, they've been approved. They're just awaiting signature. So we'll have those at the public hearing. And then a provisional cert for schools has been issued because their applicant agreed to pay the school mitigation fee. And there are just a couple of conditions of approval. They need to address a few comments from the county's DUSWM and then engineering comments, and that was it.
Okay. Any questions? No questions, and I don't have any questions either. That was easy.
Yay.
Right. We'll move on to the next case, which is PC 25-53 FSI, and that's the Frederick Community College.
Yes. So that one is, they want to build a services building on the campus. It's interior to the campus. It's not on a public frontage. They're asking for 4 modifications. 3 of which we are supporting all together. They're asking for one, though, the lighting plan to have spillover on the east, which is, it's almost exactly like Taco Bell. The lot line is part of the project, and so they're providing landscaping at the limit of disturbance. And then the other one is the lighting plan, and they want to have spillover on that one. That's fine. And then on the south, they have a little bit of spillover. We think that they could probably mitigate that. So we're asking for them to fix their light spillover and resubmit a lighting plan. That's what we're recommending. We also talked at the workshop about the bike parking, and because it is a services building and it's not going to be accessed by students at all, they're proposing to put their required 2-space bike parking right next door at the sports fields. So we're supporting that modification and asking them to add a note that says the required bike parking will be provided on the adjacent lot, or it's not a lot, on the adjacent area by the ball fields. There is an outstanding comment by the fire engineer. There's some back and forth on whether or not the plan needs a fire hydrant. The applicant thinks that they don't need it. The fire engineer thinks they do. So there's some back and forth there to figure that out. We've told the applicant that if it's decided that they do need one and they need major changes, that they'll have to come back through the process. And they're okay with that. And basically working those out is listed as a condition of approval. Other than that, the rest of the conditions of approval are all just technical in nature. And that's it. That's about it. Are there any questions on that one? Or sorry, Joe, that's your line.
That's okay. We can both say it. But I have a question before I ask them for questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I know this because I drive past FCC a lot, so I know that the planning commission signs are up at on Possum Town Pike at the entrances.
Yes.
Are there signs on the lot itself somewhere in the middle of campus? I didn't go drive past that one for the workshop, and I wanted to go, so I'm trying to figure out how I'll know when I get to the lot to go look at it.
That is an excellent choice, or an excellent question. And then the way that the code is written, it's all one lot. All of FCC is one lot. And so the signs were put out on the public frontage, but you'll know where it is. It's right in between the CTC building and the ball fields. There's a little area there that they're using right now as like stockpile storage. And because it's interior to them, I don't think they placed any on that actual site.
Okay. Ball fields. Is it which driveway is it? The more southern?
So right now there isn't a driveway. Yeah, they're proposing 2 that don't exist right now, but it's just a little grassy area. It's like 3 acres between those 2 buildings.
Okay. All right.
And if you want, I can get a GIS map and kind of circle it for you and email it.
That would be great. Can you send it to all of us?
Yep, I would be happy to do that.
Yeah, that's good. That way I won't waste time driving all around campus going, which is the CTC building?
Yes, I don't want that for you on a Friday afternoon.
Or Saturday.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Nope. No questions. All right. So we're headed to the last case, and that is PC 25-55ZTA, and that is the text amendment regarding phasing.
That is the text amendment regarding phasing. So 2 new documents associated with your packet. There is the post-planning commission workshop letter that the applicant provided. And in that they provided some reference to other jurisdictions, City of Gaithersburg, City of Rockville, Frederick County, Montgomery County, and how they handle the phasing of projects. And then the other attachment is one we provided. It's a mixed use project summary. We talked a lot at the workshop, I guess it was, about the different types of mixed use projects and how location or size or acreage or composition vary across our different projects. So hopefully that summary provides you a little bit of an overview to think about all of the different iterations that a mixed use project has taken and could take in the future, and how this would apply to that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's pretty much the same.
Great. Any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. The applicant did tweak the language just a little bit. It's called out in your workshop summary. There was a slight change of the wording and what they're proposing for their text. If you look at page on page 3, under subsection 2 that they're proposing, we have a little asterisk which references how the verbiage changed a little bit.
Okay. All right, any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question. When the verbiage is changed like that, and this may not apply to anyone else, but I know for me, I may not necessarily recall the original verbiage. Is there any way we could get, like, as an extra piece of paper or something, just how it was originally written so that we don't have to go back and try to find it, just to make it easier? I would like to be able to reference the language moving forward.
Absolutely. I did include, under where I put the little asterisks, I did include what that specific wording was. So you have it right under there, so you can reference it. The initial application letter is also in the packet, and that would have been that initial language. But yeah, I would definitely want to make sure we understand the evolution of it. But yeah, in this case, it's right underneath there.
All right, anything else? No, that looks like it's everything. Do we have anything else to talk about before we go? Oops, oh, April.
Just super quick. So just
That's okay.
moving forward, so I want to make sure I stated that correctly, but just moving forward, will it be this way moving forward? We'll always get to see that? Okay, perfect. That's all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if we have instances, you know, then we have had fun conversations about, even when it gets to the city council, maybe they tweak it a little bit more. That, you know, that as long as the language isn't substantively changing the intent of the change, we can still consider it under one application. And that goes for the city council, right? If they got to a meeting and then they wanted to just completely change the nature of what this text amendment was doing, that would prompt a new application likely. But we, even if it's subtle, we want to make sure everybody understands the transition.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because even that little subtle piece, sometimes I know you have to really read this material
Yes.
in order to absorb it. So I want to get it right. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. I did want to make one other announcement, and I'll probably announce it another time, but I wanted to let you know that Monica, I'm picking on her because her camera came back on. Monica has accepted a job with the Frederick County Public Schools Facilities Planning, and her last meeting with us will be on the 16th. That will be her swan song. So,
Oh. Well, congratulations, but we're sorry to see you go.
Well, thank you,
Yes,
Joan. I'm sorry to leave you.
congratulations.
It's been a wonderful place to work. It's bittersweet. I'm excited about the job, but it's
So what kind of things will you be doing for the school?
so I'm going to be the manager of facilities planning. So I'm going to be preparing the educational facilities master plan and the capital improvement plan and
Ah,
all kinds of things that I have to figure out.
okay, awesome. Well, I
Do you-
hope you enjoy it.
Well, thank
I'm
you. I
going
hope
to
so too.
we
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
going to ask this. So will
take
you
the-
be working with one of the Lures Phillips twins, or no, at FCPS?
So
Oh, no, you're
I've
working with
met
the
part of my
city.
team, and that name isn't familiar, but I literally know a handful.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Should I be, is this a warning or is this a?
Oh, no, no, not in any way. They're really great people. I thought of facilities, and so I was thinking of that, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll keep an eye out and let you know.
Okay.
I just made that map really quick and just circled it, so that should be in everybody's inbox.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, no, we will miss her tremendously. So
Yeah,
just wanted to give that shout out. We'll make a fancy announcement at her last meeting. It'll be a much more
Sounds
celebration.
good.
Not celebration, but you know,
Yes.
Yeah. acknowledge.
fanciness.
Much more fanciness, yes, as
Much more fanciness. Oh, well, no, thank you guys. And also I do want to take the opportunity to thank all of our commission members. I sent an email. It is not the amount of effort we put into it. It is, you have the amount of effort as well. And so we personally can empathize and feel the pain when we have these heavy agendas, and do appreciate your support in that.
Thank you.
Very much.
All right, and with that,
Thank
we
you,
will
Gabrielle.
call it quits and see you all on Monday night.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Have a good weekend.
have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.